Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Dr. Vegapunk is an incredible scientist capable of manipulating the lineage factor inside people of the world of One Piece, possibly being able to create artificial devil fruits and even modify a person's body, turning them into a cyborg or even giving them powers. We recently found out that Vegapunk and Dragon are allies. Now we don't exactly know how long they've been friends, but they do appear to have known each other for quite a long time, which could mean that the powers that Dragon currently possesses may have been given to him by Vegapunk himself. So in today's video, we're going to go over how Vegapunk and Dragon may have met, for what reasons Dragon might have created the revolutionaries, and in what ways Vegapunk may be involved with the Revolutionary Army. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, as we've recently learned, Vegapunk is a scientist who has been shown that he may not actually be on the world government's side. Vegapunk was born in a future city called Baltimore City on Katakuri Island, where there were many intelligent and important scientists and researchers. As a child, he designed and built several devices in his laboratory, including robotic animals, capable of chasing any desired target, and other really interesting inventions in which he surprised the other scientists because of his great intelligence being so young. He also had hundreds of other ideas, from weapons to experiments with cellular structures, modifying the body of living beings to be able to amplify their physical capabilities, and even trying to make them advanced in the next stage of evolution. Because he lived on a very cold island, he tried to create an in-ground heating system for the people, using modified animals as a labor force to generate energy for its construction. Unfortunately though, Vegapunk didn't have the necessary tools or funding to complete his project, but he did still manage to touch the people's hearts on the island. At some point in his life, Vegapunk met Monkey D. Dragon, a man who has fought for the freedom of all, opposing the world government and all those who held the same ideas as the world government and the world nobles. Vegapunk may have sympathized with their cause and may have even helped the revolutionaries in very discreet ways, providing them with weapons or other important knowledge. To further his research into helping the revolutionaries change the world, Vegapunk teamed up with Vinsmoke Judge, a great scientist in his own right like himself. However, Judge was a specialist in genetic alteration. With this partnership, Vegapunk and Judge created MADS, an illegal research team researching ways to alter a person's genetics, giving them extraordinary powers. These abilities seem to replicate those of a devil fruit, making it possible for an individual to have more than one fruit of the same type, which could create an army of users of powerful different devil fruit properties, which could be quite advantageous for the revolutionaries. During their research, Vegapunk and Judge found out something very important about life. That there was something that connected all living beings at one point in existence, something that had a relationship with everything, and the two scientists then named it the lineage factor. This was something which, when modified, would cause a person to obtain a bodily improvement, such as obtaining great strength or endurance, or even getting special powers. During their research, they also discovered that devil fruit users possess this modified lineage factor, because by ingesting the fruit, their lineage factor was changed. So in this way, Vegapunk and Judge discovered that if they altered the lineage factor, they would be able to evolve mankind. So Vegapunk and Judge set out to test this lineage factor in several ways. Judge modified the lineage factor of his own children while they were still in his wife's womb, while Vegapunk tried to choose to modify the lineage factor of devil fruits. Through this research, Vegapunk may have even used some of this on Dragon as an experiment, modifying his body, giving him strength and endurance very similar to Judge's own experiments, or even possibly given Dragon the powers of a devil fruit. But these changes weren't in the normal conventional way. Vegapunk may have changed Dragon's lineage factor, similar to the way a devil fruit changes a person's lineage factor, enabling him to obtain an ability even more powerful than that of a conventional devil fruit. During these lineage factor modifications, the revolutionaries themselves may have even provided the resources for MADS to continue their research, as the revolutionaries were able to acquire many different resources in their attacks against the world government. At some point in the past, however, the world government learned about the illegal research MADS was doing, and because it was something that could become a great danger in the future, they arrested Vegapunk. Now we don't know how, but Judge seemed to be able to avoid being arrested himself, but because of being a great scientist, the world government offered Vegapunk an offer to work by their side, something that Vegapunk really simply couldn't refuse, because through this partnership, he would be able to obtain all the resources he needed to be able to pursue his research, and also he would avoided spending time, or at least his entire life, trapped inside a cage. So he continued with his research. In order to prevent the world government from knowing exactly everything Vegapunk did, he created the Punks, 6 parts of his being possessing appearances that aid Vegapunk in his experiments, each working in a different way. This enabled Vegapunk to work in very specific areas, and these 6 parts of Vegapunk are known as satellites, all of which identify themselves as Dr. Vegapunk and present themselves as such. But each of them has their own names and numerical designations to distinguish them, as well as looking totally different from each other. You see, the satellites also differ in that they seem to embody a particular aspect of Vegapunk's personality. Punk 01, known as Shaka, is the good side of Vegapunk. Punk 02, known as Lilith, is more the bad side of Vegapunk. Punk 03, known as Edison, is the thinking side of Vegapunk. Punk 04, Pythagoras, is the knowing or wise side of Vegapunk. Whereas Punk 05, known as Atlas, is the more violent side of Vegapunk. And Punk 06, York, is the greedy side of Vegapunk. And each of them has a personality based on each of these said characteristics. However, none of them are the original Vegapunk. They're just aspects of the personality of the real one. And because the real Vegapunk body is called the Stella, this means that the main body still exists. Because of this Stella or star main body and Punk satellites, this means that the main body is still passing information or specific Vegapunk characteristics onto its satellites. Because of this relationship, the Stella or star could be passing all their information to the other 6 satellites, managing them in a way in which only the Stella Vegapunk can know all the actions of all the other Punks. This could be one of the reasons why we've never seen the Punks around the world, and it may even be possible that they can't leave the original Vegapunk side, as he's the only one that is able to pass information onto them. Currently, we don't know if the Stella is active along the other 6 satellites, being able to move freely, since he is responsible for passing on information to these satellites. So in theory, the Stella, who would be the original Vegapunk, should be somewhere very high up that would allow him to pass this information on. But because each satellite uses only one Vegapunk characteristic, they don't seem to share thoughts or knowledge. Each one knows something different than the other, as in the case of Shaka, who knew that the Straw Hats were incredibly strong. If we compare this to the fact that Lilith, who had met other parts of the crew, had not recognized the size of the power the Straw Hats possessed, this might mean that only Shaka knows about the alliance that Vegapunk possesses with Dragon, because so far, they are the only one to have been shown communicating with the leader of the revolutionaries. Because they were the first Punk to be created, Shaka may possess greater knowledge than all the other Punks. Besides, their name makes a reference to the Buddha, person who possesses great knowledge and enlightenment. So if the Stella Vegapunk can't move and can only pass information to the other satellites, this might mean that Shaka may be the satellite that can get closest to Vegapunk's real personality. In this way, they have the knowledge of the alliance that Dragon and Vegapunk have. So for many years, they may have been in contact, planning together different ways to bring down the world government. It might even been Vegapunk who was responsible for helping Dragon locate different places around the world that would allow the revolutionaries to liberate communities where the world government had control. Now, somehow, the world government may have found out that Vegapunk has been helping Dragon and the revolutionaries all these years, which might be why the Gorosei sent CP0 to take all of the Vegapunk's lives. But it might also happen that Dragon may not be able to stop CP0 from taking Vegapunk's life, because he might be too far away. The main target, after all, is the Stella, the original Vegapunk, because he's the one responsible for passing information onto the satellites. But the Straw Hats are also on the island of Katakuri, or Egghead, so CP0's mission might get a lot more complicated, thus allowing Dragon to arrive in time during this conflict that could be happening soon. And when Dragon does come into the scene, it may be able to explain much more about Vegapunk's relationship with Dragon, and also reveal Dragon and Vegapunk's main goal, as well as the reasons why these two distinct characters came together in the first place. But with all that said, my friends, we would now love to know what you think about it. Do you think that Dragon and Vegapunk have been working together this entire time? And what do you think motivated this alliance in the first place? And finally, where do you think this Stella is? Do you think they're still moving around, or maybe in some kind of like suspended animation, just sending out their thoughts to the the rest of the satellite Vegapunks. Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video today, I want to thank all of you so much for watching, especially staying with us all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.